Welcome to the Family Law Channel. I'm Scott Drake. Following years of failed attempts to rehabilitate juvenile offenders and improve public safety, it appears California's once sprawling youth prison system may soon shut its gates for good. If the legislature approves the plan Governor Jerry Brown released as part of the budget blueprint, California could become the first state to entirely eliminate its prisons for youthful offenders. My guest is the host of the Family Law Channel, Judge Eugene M. Hyman. Welcome back, Judge.
Thank you.
This isn't something that something like this has come up before with regards to the Reagan administration and mental institutions, and you see a lot of similarities between the two here, right?
Absolutely.
So we're talking about them shutting it down. Your fear is that youthful offenders would end up out in the street because they would take it down to the local government, it'd be their responsibility, who would then soon run out of money, and then nothing would be done at all, right?
Well, in part, and then the other concern that I have that continues that line of thinking is that if they don't receive intervention, and under California law, juveniles are required to be provided rehabilitation services. That's not true with adults. Not that of course I favor rehabilitation, but they are required to do it for juveniles. And if they run out of money, and if they're not doing it for juveniles, then if they're not receiving intervention services, they're going to commit more crimes and ultimately wind up in the adult system, either because they become 18 and can continue to commit crimes, or they commit crimes that are serious enough that the district attorney can direct file them in adult court. Depending upon the crime, they could either be 14 or 16. If they commit murder, then it's as young as 14. If it's other serious offenses other than murder, then it might be as young as 16. So that's a real concern. I mean, under the Reagan administration, and I really don't care whether the right thing is done because of economic consequences or because it's the right thing to do. I think that it was the right thing to do to try and keep in mental institutions only the most severely mentally disturbed individuals, and to provide others with less physical confinement and more community involvement. And what happens whenever the economy is bad and the legislature is in a very awkward position with respect to funding, the state budget is balanced on the backs of the local counties, and that's whether it be California or that happens in every state throughout the United States. And unfortunately, we did it with the mentally ill, and we continue to do it with those groups in the community that do not have advocates that are able to prevent the funding cuts for those who are the most vulnerable, because they just don't have the advocates with the people that are in charge of the budget. With the end result is that they get less services and they wind up on the street. And but the juvenile problem presents, or the solution presents, additional problems. Number one, I favor what happened with the mentally ill. I favor what happened with realignment, that is, returning to the community those offenders that are not violent. To incarcerate people at the state prison level, number one, costs a lot of money. Two, there's no rehabilitation per se. And three, it just helps, in many cases, criminals to become more sophisticated criminals. So I think my experience is that there's far more rehabilitation at the local level than at the state level. There's more collaborations of rehabilitation at the local level than at the state level.
Well, let's talk about, just in the last 30 seconds here, just talk about, I think people probably are unaware of the expense of, caring for like one ward in the California juvenile prison system, and obviously too, that prison system doesn't have a great reputation, but what's the average cost per ward in that system now?
Somewhere between $175,000 to $200,000.
Wow.
So that's an incredible amount of money.
Okay. And how does that compare with an adult prison inmate?
Well, an adult prison inmate is, depending upon the level of security that they're at. In other words, if you're at Pelican Bay because you're a gang person and you're really problematic, I imagine that's probably between $50,000 and $60,000. A less serious person that's at a fire camp, I imagine that's probably more in the area of $25,000 to $30,000.
Okay. Well, we appreciate your time, Judge. Thank you so
Sure.
much.
Sure.
This is the Family Law Channel. I'm Scott Drake. Thank you for watching.